Hi there! When we look at the state of our planet, it can feel pretty hopeless. We know.
If you ask us, we are not giving up anytime soon.
It's still time to make a change. Come and see for yourself.
Across the globe, we are using analog forestry to learn from nature itself and bring ecosystems back to life, led by local communities and organizations. What is analog forestry? It's a methodology that teaches us how to design ecosystems that are analogous or similar to mature, climax local ecosystems. It works with forests, mangroves, wetlands, you name it. Ecological succession is the process that allows for biodiversity to increase and progressively transforms an ecosystem until it reaches a climax state. With analog forestry, we leverage this natural succession, increasing biodiversity while improving livelihoods and supporting local leadership. But how does it work exactly? Number 1, observe and describe a local mature ecosystem. Look for a mature and well-conserved ecosystem that you can study and learn from. This will be your reference. Number 2, compare this mature ecosystem to the place that you want to restore. The difference between both ecosystems will tell you what is missing and guide your work. 3, engage the community to create a database about local species and their functions. Take this time to really listen and learn. Think for a moment. Who knows best about the land you want to restore? Invite the community elders, the women, the local collectives to share knowledge about the plant species and their functions. 4. Create your AF design with both people and nature in mind. When creating the design for the AF site, make space for collective decisions about how to manage the land. You may organize and select plant species for shadow or water retention, to increase biomass on a tea or cacao plantation, to get seeds and fruits from the forest, improve the soil quality, develop sustainable products for local markets, medicinal plants, plan for ecotourism, and the list of possibilities goes on. 5. Maintaining and monitoring. Analog forestry is a long-term work. Once the design is set in place, you can look forward to long years of a beautiful, fruitful, deepened relationship between the land and its stewards, maintaining and monitoring biodiversity, its beauty, and its many benefits. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation affects us all, but with more severe consequences for women, non-binary and trans people, ethnic minorities, people with disabilities, and indigenous communities.
La justicia de género es esencial para la forestería análoga, para la toma de decisiones, para el rescate de los conocimientos ancestrales y para generar oportunidades equitativas en los territorios.
The practice of analog forestry is a way to support collective efforts towards environmental, social, and gender justice for communities and territories. Analog forests are also a great climate adaptation strategy, since they create buffer zones that prevent floods or droughts in vulnerable landscapes.
Cuando era niña había plantas cerca como ovía, coclón, caimetío, y eso me recuerdo porque ahora eso ya no existe.
Este año 2024 hemos visto el cambio de climático, está muy intensa el sol, pues a veces nuestras plantas se marchitan, se mueren, las plantas con ese calor.
How can analog forestry impact biodiversity, gender justice, food sovereignty, and the connection between humans and nature? Let's find out through some examples of analog forestry projects that were supported by the Restore Fund. What would you do if you and your ancestors had always relied on the forest for food, medicine, clothing, housing, spirituality, and play? But deforestation and logging took these resources away. In Santa Rosa de Pichanas, Oxapampa, Peru, a group of Yanesha families supported by SEARE decided to use analog forestry to revive their ancestral forest, following the lead of women's traditional knowledge to restore biodiversity, food sovereignty, and culture.
Algo muy importante con la forestería análoga es que promueve mucho el cultivo de la biodiversidad. Además, busca también relacionar a las personas con la tierra.
Hemos incluido muchas especies que producen frutas en nuestro diseño, pensando también en la fauna silvestre.
Considero que es una técnica que contribuye a la mejora de los ecosistemas y sobre todo contribuye a esta búsqueda de alcanzar el desarrollo sostenible.
Me parece una buena técnica porque ahí podemos tener como árboles forestales y también tenemos algo de plantas frutales, como también algunas plantas medicinales, por ejemplo, chamairo y el ajosacha. Con algo estoy feliz y creo que está creciendo. Es buena técnica porque ya estoy recuperando el suelo degradado, ya voy a tener agua y ya no voy a tener mucha erosión del suelo, recuperando la biodiversidad para enriquecer nuestro bosque.
In the midst of modern urban life, how can restoring biodiversity help restore our social connections? Legends in Nepal tell that Manjushri, a Buddhist saint, created the Chobar Gorge to make the beautiful Kathmandu Valley accessible for us human beings. That is where the Manjushri Park is located, in what is now one of the fastest growing cities in South Asia. The Women Empowerment Center took it in their hands to gather local actors and transform, in just 1 year, the polluted dry land into a lush forest enjoyed by visitors for spiritual and family activities.
Analog Forestry भनेको हामीले लास्ट इयरदेखि यो ठाउँमा सुरु गरेको थियौँ। यो काम गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ इकोलोजिकल सक्सेसनलाई हामीले त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामीले आधार मानेर गरेको छौँ यहाँनिर। यहाँ चाहिँ के भने सुरुमा सबै हामीले सफा गरेपछि एउटा पनि बोट बिरुवाहरू चाहिँ थिएन।
चिजलाई चाहिँ यो ठाउँ चाहिँ त्यतिकै अब अव्यवस्थित रूपमा भनौँ न हामीले सामुदायिक वनबाट चाहिँ मन्त्री पार्कको ठुलो एरिया भएको हुनाले यो क्षेत्रलाई जहाँ बसिरहेको क्षेत्रलाई चाहिँ हामीले एक्ज्याक्ट रूपमा यसलाई भनौँ न संरक्षण या त्यसको अब रेखदेख गर्नलाई अलि सकिरहेको थिएनौँ।
हामीले जो एनालग फरेस्ट बनाउनु भन्दा पहिला यो जग्गा चाहिँ एकदम फोहोर फाल्ने ठाउँ, एकदम खेरो गएको ठाउँ जस्तो धेरै झाङझुङ भएको र काँडाहरू भएको र धेरै चाहिँ नराम्रो देखिने ठाउँ थियो। तर अहिले आएर जब हामीहरूले यो एनालग फरेस्टको लागि हामी सुरु गर्यौँ
चाहिँ यो जग्गा कस्तो छ भनेर चाहिँ हामीले बल्ल देखा पर्यो, यसको स्ट्रक्चर कस्तो छ भनेर चाहिँ हामीले थाहा पायौँ। हामीले प्लान गर्न थाल्यौँ कि अब यो जग्गालाई चाहिँ कसरी गर्दाखेरि राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर एएफको प्रिन्सिपलहरूलाई नै फलो गरेर चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ हामी एउटा जङ्गल बनाउने, यो एउटा मन्जुश्री पार्कभित्र नै भएको भएर चाहिँ जस्तै खालको सबैलाई आउनु हुने खालको ठाउँ बनाउने भन्ने चाहिँ हाम्रो उद्देश्य थियो। एएफको साइटहरू निर्माण गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ बायोडाइभर्सिटी क्रिएट गर्ने कुरा मात्रै गर्दैनौँ, हामी यहाँ चाहिँ माटोहरूलाई पनि कसरी बचाउने, माटो मुनि बसेको त्यो सानो सानो कीटाणुहरूलाई किरा फट्याङ्ग्रा यहाँ भएको सबै किसिमको इन्सेक्टदेखि लिएर एनिमल सबैको लागि एउटा बसोबास गर्ने ठाउँ होस् भने त्यस्तो खालको पनि बायोडाइभर्सिटी हामीले क्रिएट गर्नु।
Analog forests are a way to combine food production with ecosystem regeneration. They are a livelihood strategy as they take human needs into account in the design process. In Uganda, over 50 families supported by the Kikandwa Environmental Association are using analog forestry to improve their agricultural practices and apply ancestral knowledge in small plots, helping them adapt despite floods, droughts, and poor soils.
Kati nalinga ngenda mu bibanja bya bannange ne nnoonya ebikoola bye ngenda okuwa embizzi. Naye kaakati mu kibira kyange omwo mwe nsima muwogo, omwo nzija amakoola, tugaane nga sikyatulugunya banneiba.
Ne tumutereka ate tusobole okwerinda enjala mu maaso. Ne tuba n'emmere nga tulina emmere eri, ne tuba n'emmere ne tuba n'emmere nga tetutereka. Amagezi tugajje mu analog. Tuyambako mu byenfuna. We
collect all seeds, all the indigenous seeds, whether it is for trees, whether for vegetables, and so many other things.
If we have learned something after 30 years of practicing analog forestry and observing nature, it's the power of connections. Just like mycelia that connects all life forms in forests from underground, we have become an international organization connecting grassroots efforts across the globe. The International Analog Forestry Network, IFN, is a global South-based organization that strives at multiplying the impact of analog forestry through capacity building and implementation with partner organizations in 5 continents, strategically located training centers, and a growing network of accredited trainers and women promoters supporting dozens of community-led projects through our Restore Fund Small Grants program. The IFN Restore Fund is one of our key strategies to support local organizations in their efforts to implement analog forestry to regenerate critical ecosystems, rescue and share traditional knowledge, strengthen their skills, enhance women and local communities' leadership, foster bonds of solidarity and advocacy, and develop infrastructure for AF sites such as tree nurseries and others. With this small grants program, we get the money directly to the local level and make sure that funding reaches local communities to invest in their own restoration projects, with support and connections to our international community. Up to June 2025, we have supported projects from collectives, organizations, women's groups, communities, and families in 20 countries through 80 seed grants, training, and technical support. It's a small investment with a big outcome.
We support analog forestry in various ways. Firstly, in financing, so as a financing mechanism to make sure money ends up in the hands of these locally led initiatives, of people who lead these initiatives. In addition to that, we promote and actually bring these initiatives of analog forestry, these practices, to the fora of policies, but also of funders, because we want policies to be more to stimulate these practices of analog forestry. We work on analog forestry through various programs. One of the programs being GAGA, which is the Global Alliance for Green and Gender Action. The role of analog forestry in GAGA has been that it contributes to adaptation, mitigation, resilience, but also livelihoods in the context of climate change. How do we make sure that this support then reaches local communities? The International Analog Forestry Restore Fund is one of the most promising examples of social environmental funds who fund local groups and at the same time contribute to the climate goals that we all share, to making sure that money ends up in the hands of local groups. We see that with these funds, local women and local communities can set up nurseries, they can set up composting systems, design their own landscapes, design their forests, producing food at the same time, and also making sure that it has access to the local markets. I am very amazed about the work that they're doing and the impact it has. Small money, big impacts really counts for the International Analog Forestry Network.
As we said earlier, we are not about to give up on our planet. Analog forestry is good for nature, good for the economy, it upholds rural women's voices, and transforms our food production systems. Join us in shaping systemic change for the future. Be part of the movement.
Be part of the movement.
Sé parte del movimiento.
Sé parte del movimiento.
Sé parte del movimiento.
Sé parte del movimiento.
Be part of the movement.